the poorest areas in the south side of Chicago, where the median income is like $21,000 to this day. I was on welfare. I had Section 8, government cheese, Roman noodles, all that. That's where she's from. She's not from Hollywood. She's not from that. She's from a low-income area. My husband and I, we've been married for 28 years. And we wanted better. We wanted better. And so he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, we need to do better for our children. So I got back in church. He got back in church. He became an ordained deacon. I became the choir director, and my life changed. And I raised my children in that environment, and I raised them in a Christian environment. And so when anybody attacks Kiki for loving everybody, that's a Christian message.
That's right.
It doesn't mean you don't love black. It means you love people. So when someone asks her on Twitter, do you think all lives matter? She gonna take that bait every time. Because her mama told her to love gay people. My brother was gay, died with AIDS. Was a Vietnam vet, came back a heroin addict. And died from AIDS. One of the first people to die from AIDS. So she cares about all people. All people. My niece just married a woman. We got everybody in our family. So I wanted to say this. Kiki loves everybody. If y'all got a problem with that, it came from me. Take that shit out on me.
So I wanted us to, of course, get into a discussion, but I did also have some words that I want to share with you guys. This month, we have lost family members to injustices in America. We have lost family members to racial discrimination, sexual discrimination, and I'm sure much more that the media has not covered. Growing up black in America in a very separated suburb of Illinois, and one of the only blacks in my school, I've always felt the effects of racism. In these past few years, I feel like the number of black deaths at the hands of our police force has mimicked what my generation has only heard about in the 60s. But the difference is social media. To look on social media and see that we are not listening to one another and supporting one another, but instead directing our aggression and pain over what has happened at one another hurts me. Seeing my black brothers and sisters conflicted and divided over whether not to acknowledge the recent LGBT's community suffering as well as their own cultural suffering without being seen as a traitor is disheartening. Why? Anger is a choice. Hate is a choice. Love is a choice. Why do we choose to get mad at one another? How do we arrive at the conclusion that anger is the only way to get our voices heard? Why is it when things go badly and deeply wrong, that is the only time we come together? Even as a child, my family and I really only came together for the sake of a funeral. Why is it that we have memes constantly perpetuating the idea that light-skinned girls can be horribly unpleasant and still be loved, but dark-skinned girls should tone down their assumed attitude and be lucky if they have clear skin and a fat ass? We as a people must know that until we accept our pain and address our feelings, we will continue to perpetuate the same pain and hurt within our community. And it is that hurt that causes us to lash out at each other. We are brothers and sisters, and we are not mad at each other. We are mad at the system. It's the system that has separated us from each other in our collective culture, and it has separated us from our brothers and sisters of humanity. When we call ourselves brothers and sisters, what does that mean? It means family. No, none of us know all the answers, but I ask you, family, how do we get there by jumping down each other's throats, calling up each other's names, and never listening to what the other is saying? No, everything isn't about slavery, but some things are. And I'm not afraid to shout it through the rooftops. Black people have been hurt. We have been hurt in America. We have been bruised, and we have been left for dead. But yet we rise. No, we are not weak. Because as you see, we have survived, and we are still surviving. But there's a difference between surviving and thriving. And we cannot thrive when we cannot accept ourselves first. We will continue to drown in our own ignorance until we bring ourselves and one another into the light. Subconscious self-hate is not who we are. It is instead the generational brainwashing that we experienced for centuries through slavery and separation. Separation from society ourselves. It is a part of the many behavioral dysfunctions developed during the mental breakage of our ancestors from the fucking moment they were brought over the Atlantic Ocean. It is a pain that is historically attached to us, and it cannot be removed until we acknowledge that it is there. Acknowledge with me, brothers and sisters, acknowledge that within us, that means just not pointing out our fingers at everyone, but looking at ourselves as a community of humans and seeing how we can love one another more. Acknowledge the atrocities that were done upon blacks in America, not just in the history of my ancestry, but of humanity's. Acknowledge that not only do blacks unknowingly carry generational hurt from slavery, but so does the whole world. It is the same for any apartheid, genocide, or Holocaust. These things cause suffering for all of us, because when one of us is hurt, we all are.
That's right.
And acknowledge that it's okay to be angry and to be hurt, because when we do not do that, we teach the children how to carry the same pain, shame, and suffering unknowingly. People want to know why there has been so much violence lately, and it's because we are hurt. And as long as we allow people to hurt in our world, everyone will end up feeling it in some way or another. It is a ripple effect that goes beyond race, age, and sex. Because the truth is, as human beings, we are responsible for one another. We all are here to come together. And doesn't it make sense that we make it a better experience for everyone? No matter how rich people may think they are, ignorance will find you, because it can't be killed without people being given knowledge. And when we withhold knowledge from one another, that is ignorance at its highest form. Slavery went on for 400 years. By the 400th year, blacks had already been so far removed from our culture in Africa that all we knew was slavery. Imagine a whole history of greatness, kings and queens, a whole civilization being wiped out and replaced with only the memory and the reality of slavery. I don't know how that makes you feel, but it hurts me. Not just as a black person, but as a human. However, that is not our fault, so why should we carry it? We are carrying the chains that have already been broken. I choose not to carry it. I choose to say instead, wow, I don't have to choose the behavioral patterns that my ancestors had to use or accept in order to survive at that time. Their blood and tears gave me the opportunity to know better and do better. So that's what I'm going to do. This is what Kanye means when he says new slaves. It is the mental bondage we put on each other and ourselves and allow each other to stay in. If you're not helping to solve the problem, you are part of the problem.
Right.
The world needs you. So my biggest point is that we have to be responsible for our own ignorance before we can point the finger at someone else. And I'm saying this because I don't want us to be hurt anymore. My human experience as a black person definitely makes me relate extra personally to slavery, but that's the same as a Jewish person could really relate to the cultural pain of the Holocaust. But slavery was just the second act. What about the first act? When we were kings and queens. Queen Amani-Renas defeated Alexander the Great during her reign of Candida Kush. When I learned that, it really freed my spirit in ways I didn't know I was chained. I don't have to perpetuate the behaviors birthed from slavery. I can acknowledge that history, and I can help to create new habits and images within our culture. And we all can. We can look back over all of Africa and its history and see that we have many options of our ancestors' storylines to get encouragement from. As a young black person, I realized that I do not have to look at slavery as my people's only pain and only trauma. Mindfulness is the key to us becoming actors in life, exercising our free will and truly taking a moment to feel it out, as opposed to being emotional reactors to what has been done in humanity, or even more specifically, our different cultures. Instead, let's respond to pain unaddressed by addressing it in each other. If you are a male and are aware of the obvious discriminative pay wages for women, stand up for the women, man. If you are of the LGBT community, do not sit alone. Connect to your black brothers and sisters that you see are also being discriminated against, and the same goes for every other discriminated or impoverished community. We must stand up for each other and stand up together in order for us all to be heard. How can change be denied if every community comes together to support each other on eradicating their collective problems? It's up to us to hold one another up, because that is where change rises. If we say no to one another's oppression, that is unity. When one of us is ignorant, let's discuss it. Let's pray for one another instead of bullying one another.
Right.
And this can only be done when we learn the meaning of loving ourselves. Once we do these things for ourselves, we can do it in our cultures, then our collective culture, and our world. But it starts with you first. Then we can be of service to others. A life of service is a happy life, as Muhammad Ali would say. I believe this is the purpose of human life. The journey is getting over ourselves enough to honor the gifts that our spirits bring so we can use them to heal the world. Mine is through the arts and speaking. or alone or to just make money and to just be rich. We were put here together to experience what life is, the ups and downs, and to learn to look to each other for that support. We at some point forgot that we are all family because we got caught up in pleasing our flesh. You don't leave this earth with your money, your cars, or even your body. The only thing that lives on is the way you have made people feel. The things you have So I ask you, what have you discovered from the pain of your personal story that you can use to heal humanity? What is your magic? What is your tool? Voting is one. And not just for the president, but judges, precinct captains, attorney generals, and any office that distributes justice. We must make these people accountable. I'm here. I don't know all the answers, but let's take suggestions from each other and let's be kind. Let's acknowledge our power to transform ourselves, our communities, and the world.
Right.
Woo.
Because we were trying to uphold the black